If I had a husband like that, she said, her tone dripping with envy, I'd never let him out of my sight. I laughed, a little bitterly. Be my guest, Clarissa. Growing up with Clarissa was like living in a mirror that reflected all the ways I didn't measure up. She was the golden twin, beautiful, ambitious, and charismatic. I wasn't ugly by any means, we were identical after all. But she had a knack for making herself shine just a little brighter, leaving me to settle for the duller reflection. Clarissa had a competitive streak that ran through everything from who got better grades to who wore the prettier dress at prom. As kids it was harmless, well, mostly. But as we grew older, her need to outdo me became less about winning and more about taking. If I had a cute boyfriend, she'd flirt with him just to prove she could. If I got a compliment, she'd find a way to one-up it. When I married William, Clarissa's jealousy hit a new high. You're so lucky, she'd say, eyeing him like he was a rare diamond she hadn't managed to snag. A man like that, handsome, rich, and so attentive. He practically worships you. At first I thought she was just being her usual self, hungry for validation. But the way she lingered when she visited, the way she leaned in too close to William when she laughed at his jokes, made me wonder if she was testing her boundaries. One night, after a particularly grating dinner where Clarissa spent the entire evening gushing over William, she sighed dramatically on our way out. If I had a husband like that, she said, her tone dripping with envy, I'd never let him out of my sight. I laughed, a little bitterly. Be my guest, Clarissa. I didn't say it seriously at first. But as the weeks went on, the idea started to fester. The truth was, my marriage wasn't the fairy tale Clarissa thought it was. Sure, William was handsome and rich, but he was also a control freak. He needed to know where I was every minute of every day down to the second. If I went to the store, he'd text, "Are you still in aisle 3? He scheduled my hair appointments, checked my phone, and even tracked my location on an app he insisted we download for safety. At first I thought it was love, his obsession with my every move. But over time it felt less like devotion and more like a prison. When Clarissa visited one afternoon and started her usual monologue about how amazing my life was, I snapped. If you love my life so much, why don't you take it? I said. She blinked, surprised. What do you mean? Exactly what I said. Take my life. Take my husband. See how perfect it is for yourself. Clarissa, of course, found all of this hilarious. You're like one of those reality show wives, she teased during another gathering. Except without the perks. If I had William, I'd know exactly how to keep him happy. Honestly, you're wasting him. Oh, by all means take him, I shot back. Her eyes lit up. What if I did? This time I know she is serious. The idea of playing me, of stepping into my role as William's adored wife, was too tempting for her to resist. We made the switch 2 weeks later. It wasn't as difficult as you'd think. Clarissa and I looked identical, and swapping clothes and mannerisms was second nature. She moved into my house, her eyes sparkling with excitement while I packed my bags. Using her passport, I left for Paris under her name. Clarissa had always boasted about her dream of studying art abroad, but she'd never actually followed through. Now that dream was mine. Paris was everything I'd ever wanted but never dared to imagine for myself. I enrolled in an art school that Clarissa had once researched but never applied to. I started attending classes, introducing myself as her, and melted into a world of creativity and freedom. No one here knew me as William's wife or Clarissa's overshadowed twin. I was just me, well, me pretending to be her. For the first time in years, I didn't have to answer to anyone. There were no tracking apps, no controlling texts. I wandered the streets of Paris, sketching the Seine, the Eiffel Tower, and the bustling cafes. That's how I met Etienne. Etienne was everything William wasn't: warm, laid back, and incredibly kind. He was a sculptor, always covered in flecks of marble dust, with a laugh that made everyone around him smile. We became fast friends, bonding over late-night coffee and conversations about art. At first I kept my distance. My life was too messy, too complicated to let anyone in. But Etienne had a way of making me feel seen, like he wasn't just looking at me but through all the layers of pretenses and lies. Your work is so alive, he said one evening, examining one of my charcoal sketches. But there's something sad in it too. Like you're holding back. He wasn't wrong. As we spent more time together, I started to open up. Not about the switch or my past, but about the parts of myself I'd hidden for so long. Etienne encouraged me to take risks, to create boldly, and to embrace the person I was becoming. Back home, things weren't going as smoothly for Clarissa. She lasted 2 months before she cracked. At first, she loved the attention, the flowers, the fancy dinners, the doting text. But William's controlling nature soon turned suffocating. He questioned her every move, criticized her choices, and demanded explanations for the smallest deviations from his expectations. "You're not yourself lately," he told her one evening, narrowing his eyes. "What's going on?" Clarissa tried to bluff her way through, but William wasn't easily fooled. He started digging, piecing together inconsistencies. When he found her discarded phone, the one I'd left behind wiped clean, he confronted her. "Where's my wife?" he demanded. Clarissa panicked and confessed everything. "I found out when Clarissa emailed me, frantic and apologetic. William knows," she wrote. "He's looking for you." My heart sank. Paris had become my sanctuary, and the thought of losing it, of losing Etienne, was unbearable. I cut off all contact with Clarissa, deleted the email account I'd been using, and went completely off the grid. Etienne noticed my anxiety but didn't press. Instead, he offered quiet support, distracting me with long walks and impromptu art projects. One night, as we stood on the Pont d'Arts, I told him everything. Not just about William but about Clarissa, the switch, and the life I'd left behind. "I came here to escape," I said, my voice trembling. "But now I don't know if I can ever stop running." Etienne took my hand, his grip steady. "Then we'll keep running. Together." I cut off ties with Clarissa, and William never found me. I started building a life that was truly mine. My art flourished, and so did my relationship with Etienne. Every day felt like a new beginning, free from the shadows of my past. Sometimes I'd catch my reflection in a shop window and smile. And I wasn't the dullard twin or the overshadowed wife. I was simply me.